We discussed the possibilities of companies shutting down once they got everybody on these $15 an hour wages. Walmart was one of those companies. I'll use the example of what I mentioned to you guys here about maybe 4 or 5 months ago. The issue was that there were a lot of people who were working at the local Walmart here, and I only go into this particular grocery store, which I really don't like to call it that. But anyway, I only go to this particular one for Walmart whenever I need to grab something really quickly. It's not far from the house. But anyway, one day I had gone, and like most people, I went into the store and I put one item in the cart. And by the time it was over, I had a basket full of things. Hello, Scan family. Elevate with Vern. Hey, darling. Lewis Jordan. Hello. Isn't it terrible? But I remember mentioning a while ago about what happens when you have companies that give these large dollar amounts. So let's tell the story again so we can get caught up on what I shared once before. So I go into the store and I put a couple of things in the basket there at the local Walmart store, the grocery. Again, put one thing in, and that's really all I went for. But by the time it was over, I was $200 deep. Whew, whew. I shudder to think of it right now. Alan Davis, hello. So, what ended up happening was after I got to the checkout stand, I realized that there was no one but me, the whole automated thing, and me to check myself out. I used to crack jokes about that kind of stuff. Thank you, Sister Elevate with Vern. Every single time you come here, you bless me. Every time. And it's such excellent etiquette that you display as a fellow content creator and someone who is a supporter and has been of this channel for several years. So, for that super chat, I want to tell you thank you from the bottom of my heart. You know, Vern, when this happened and I ended up spending the $200, I looked over at the gal for help because there were a few things that could not scan. And so I just told her, gee whiz, after spending all this money, you would think that something would give, that there'd be somebody from the back that would put on a cape and just run out and help me put all this stuff away. Well, long story short, I left disgruntled. But prior to me leaving, we had a conversation. And what I found out when I asked the question, where are the workers? The gal said, well, we have been working here for several months and I only make $9.80 an hour. And I said, well, I thought you guys got paid more than that. She goes, no, what happened was they hired all of these people from a temporary agency. She said they're paying them between $15 and $17 an hour, depending upon the position. She said, however, a load of the people who work here all quit on the same day when they found out that they were not going to receive that dollar amount. Well, I got to thinking quickly, having worked in that field for some time. Well, gee whiz, if these are not permanent positions, that means that all they'd have to do is slip these people in, take them out because they're temporary, and then just turn everything over to automation. Case in point, this evening's story. So now Walmart is laying off nearly all of its workers at just one location. I'm going to give you the full entire screen on this because I want you guys to see it and follow along with me and tell me what you think down below in the chat as we're talking about it. It says, as Walmart continues making adjustments to the structure of its business plan, the e-commerce based company, and now let me come back over here and ask you this. Did you know that they were just e-commerce based? I didn't know that's what they considered themselves, an e-commerce based company. Let's go on. The e-commerce based company has announced that it will let go of nearly 15. I had to tell some people that I'm live. I guess they couldn't hear me. So now here it is right here. 1,500 employees by the beginning of December. So right there, so one wants the orange and the other one won't peel it for him. So that's enough for them to start a major war, it looks like, here in the house. Anyway, let's start again. As Walmart continues making adjustments to the structure of its business plan, the e-commerce based company has announced that it will let go of nearly 1,500 employees by the beginning of December. The employees will all be laid off from one specific fulfillment center in Atlanta, Georgia. This may come at a bad time for all the employees with the holidays quickly approaching, but the company is doing this to ensure their future, not the employee's future, the company's future. Now, a recent blog post published by the senior vice president, Carissa Sprague, breaks down and shares details of just how they are developing their fulfillment network for the future. Essentially, the VP says that Walmart is making the necessary adjustments to provide the highest level of customer service that they can, as well as doing the best by their employees. Well, she goes on to mention that the evolution is essential as times change. Huh. Wow. How would you like to hear that while you are losing your job? You're there, you're losing your job. It's right there before Christmas because they said at the top of December, right? But now they want you to understand how important it is for them to secure themselves. Walmart's warehouse fulfillment service is changing the number for a number of reasons, and with one goal in mind: to keep prices as low as possible for consumers. The new structure that Walmart is implementing at the Atlanta based fulfillment center will include both people and, here it goes, wait for it. Hey, DC, the Purple Diva, it's good to see you. Here it comes. Are you ready, Derek? Listen to what they're going to say. Not just for people, but advanced robotic technology to meet fulfillment needs. Additionally, Walmart is opening up for third parties to utilize what they're calling their world class supply chain capabilities. So they're looking to decrease their labor and increase the money. Well, because they just told us that it's for the customers, that it's all about them, they said, and to provide customer service. Well, story goes on to say that with the Atlanta based fulfillment center being converted, the staff required to run the facility has changed. Everything is being updated and adjusted within the Walmart Fulfillment Center as the company steps toward the future. The fulfillment center will be completely turned around in the way it processes and operates. All these changes and implementations of new modern technologies decrease the need for so many workers in the Atlanta Walmart Fulfillment Center. Now, I'm going to pause for just a second and I want to ask you a question. Do you think that the people there in that area need to have a conversation with somebody? Because the general reason why you allow commerce to come in your city is because it's going to build up the community, it's going to give jobs. That's generally what they tout whenever they try to convince the citizenry to allow a business in, especially when it's large as Walmart. Well, because Walmart has taken a lot of guff from a lot of different communities throughout the years. They always fear that they're going to come in and remove the mom and pop. They always fear that with mom and pop moving out of the way, the people who've been with those small companies are going to lose their positions and somehow run over to the local Walmart store. Well, now let me tell you a real life situation that I'm very well aware of. One of my clients had an issue. And the issue was that one of the gals that was working for them was working for a local Walmart. Well, they were doing the night shift and they were placed by a temporary agency, making about $18 an hour here in Alabama. Well, that one particular employee that also worked for him because they were working night shifts. So they had the evening differential. So I guess that's why they had the $18. Well, they got to talking and chatting it up with all of the employees at his store. And it's a mom and pop shop. He had about 10 people walk out and leave him and go over to Walmart, which left his business in disarray. In tandem with leaving it in disarray, it also left them very short-handed, and that caused their customer service to wane. This is the type of example that I'm talking about. So now Walmart has all these people, 1,500 of them, that they're ready to let go right before the holidays. This is amazing. Let's get on to the rest of the story. But I'm just amazed. I'm just amazed, actually. Am I amazed or am I not shocked by their tactics? I think it's more of the latter. Again, all these changes and the implementation of new modern technologies decrease the need for so many workers in the Atlanta Walmart Fulfillment Center. The conversion plan is structured to take place over the next 3 years. All the changes will be available to third party sellers, grow, as they utilize the Walmart fulfillment service. So, this is now going to be competition for, you guessed it, ladies and gentlemen, none other than who? None other than who? I'm waiting, looking at the chat ever so feverishly before I give the answer. Well, here it goes: Amazon. It would appear that they are now looking to be a major contender with Amazon, especially in light of the fact that they're doing this directly before the holiday season, one of Amazon's most busiest of all. Well, despite any of this, it says just a few short months ago, Walmart announced a huge layoff within the corporate sector. Now, I remember that of the company. And all of this is a part of the continuous evolution. They keep using the term evolution process of the company to continue to ensure its place in the future as a top retailer. With so many layoffs and changes happening, what could this possibly mean for Walmart employees? Well, despite the layoffs happening throughout the company, Walmart still says that it's a great place to start and build a career. Yeah, if your name is Sophia and last name Robot, or no, let me give you the full name. Let me give you the full name. I got to be fair. Let me come on over here and give y'all the full name. Here's the full name: Sophia, middle name, the last name Robot. Okay, I'm being bad. Let's continue. Despite the layoffs happening throughout the company, Walmart still says that it's a great place to start and build a career. With the transformation of the Atlanta Fulfillment Center, the company ensures that its employees will be the ones leading the race in technology. Don't you want to be a part of that? Forget what your landlord needs. Forget the fact that rent and mortgages and everything has been cattywampus. Rent has increased almost 22% in most areas. Forget all that. Don't you want to be on the right side of technology and transforming the name of the game, as it says in this article? This change gives their employees access to advanced training and educational opportunities. With the use of robotics and modern technology being implemented in the Atlanta-based fulfillment center and eventual implementation across the board. So this is what other fulfillment centers have to look forward to. Now, if they get this done here in there in Georgia, I'm telling you, Bev, I'm telling you, Anarchy and Benny Hinn, I love it. I'm telling you, Mike, what they're going to do, Draley, is they are going to undoubtedly roll this out across the United States and any other place, whether it be Canada or wherever else they're allowed, right? What they're doing, Anthony Van Zant, is they are letting everybody know, and they're putting everybody else throughout the United States that happens to work at their fulfillment centers on notice that this too can happen to you. And it most assuredly will. As soon as they see how this works in Atlanta, as soon as they monitor the amount or the lack of the amount of kickback from the community, which is what should go on. I mean, I cannot imagine the county that this fulfillment center is in not having anything to say. I just can't imagine it. I can't. And if they knew this was going to happen, welcome, DC. The Purple Diva is now a new member. I so love you, sis. Thank you. Hug everybody back home at church for me, won't you? So, this is the deal. They're going to do this all across the United States, and Atlanta is going to be the poster child for what they've got in store for all those people who they state are going to be able to take advantage of being on the cutting edge. Of being on the cutting edge. Let's read this part again. With the use of robotics and modern technology being implemented in the Atlanta-based fulfillment center and eventual implementation across the board, that's the part that's the key. Eventually, this too can happen to you. Self-checkout stations installed in stores across the United States and corporate positions being cut, Walmart associates might defer An opinion of the company being a great place to grow a career. While the company is ensuring its future, it might truly take time to consider the future of its employees. The Post, Walmart is laying off nearly all of its workers. I want to see what this happened here. Appeared on first on Tell Me Best. So let's go over here to Tell Me Best. All right. Because there are a lot of places, not just Walmart. Remember, we got to talking not long ago about what would happen. Let me pull this over for you guys so you guys can see it. Oh, you can see it. Remember, not long ago, we actually began to discuss what would happen with automation and how it would work. Okay. So this is just what it is. I believe that there are going to be a whole lot more companies. They got this whole Black Friday feeling going, right? But I believe there's going to be a lot more companies that are going to do the exact same thing. Well, because they always follow the leader. They really do. They always follow the leader. McDonald's just won a major decision against Black franchise owners. Wonder what that is. As much as Black folk like to eat at Mickey D's, or at least they did when I was coming up. I wonder what this says. Let's find out what this is about. See if I can change it to this reader. Since we're here looking at it, we may as well all go together and see what this is. I do this often, don't I? I'll just find a story and then we'll go for it. So let's just go for it since we're in the business of looking at all these rich folks' business. McDonald's just won a major decision against Black franchise owners. McDonald's has a case dismissed in which Black franchise owners were suing over claims the company put them in lower income neighborhoods with stores that earned less money. Well, let's just talk about what Walmart does. Thank you so very much, Brian. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the love. Thank you so much for that love offering. So now, with these McDonald's businesses, what McDonald's does, as you may all know, McDonald's comes into a community, but when they come into the community, they own the actual building. Aha. Aha. So they do not care about what the franchisee makes. They own the building, and this building has to be paid for every single month. So they don't care that you don't know how to hire good people. They don't care that the people just shovel cardboard through the window. Here's what I always say about McDonald's. I believe that if you go to McDonald's, you better eat the food right there at the checkout. When you put your money through the thing and the lady gives you the bag, shovel it in, shovel it all in right then. Because the minute you drive out of their drive through, baby, hey, you eating cardboard, warm cardboard at that. Okay, warm cardboard at that. But in any case, now let's see what they've got to say about these folks, because I want to watch this. I really do. I haven't read this. As you guys see, we just stumbled upon it together. So together, let's just dig in. A lawsuit recently brought by McDonald's against McDonald's by 52 Black franchisee owners has been dismissed by a federal judge in Chicago. The plaintiffs alleged that the company had set them up to operate in low-income neighborhoods with high crime rates. The owners claimed that McDonald's set them up for failure, reported Black Enterprise, which I have very little, I don't really care for them. We did that story about the thing yesterday or the day before where we were talking about how Black Enterprise had the opportunity to, speak out against that whole campaign for getting out and vote. If you don't vote, you don't get to vuck. And they didn't speak out for that. So anyway, they reported this. Although McDonald's was able to temporarily pause the lawsuit, the Chicago judge gave the plaintiffs until October 21st to amend their complaint. The judge gave no explanation as to why he dismissed the case. The franchisees claimed that their McDonald's locations weren't as profitable as those locations belonging to white owners. The 52 plaintiffs added that their McDonald's poverty-stricken locations didn't present any growth opportunities, despite working under the same terms as their white franchisee counterparts. The restaurant company has committed to supporting Black entrepreneurs and diversity, but the Black franchisees believe that they were set up for failure. The lawsuit in question is demanding up to $1 billion in damages. In defense of its business practices, McDonald's vehemently denied the claims that the Black franchisees brought up in the suit, citing their public support for diversity. Don't you see our commercials? Ever since the 70s, we've had somebody hopping down the street with a big old gigantic afro and platform shoes and too tight pants, boogieing down to eating a Big Mac, man. What's wrong with y'all? We are into diversity. If you look diversity up in the dictionary, it's going to have those beautiful golden arches beside it. Well, the company stated that franchisees have the freedom to choose to open up a restaurant wherever they like. And I guarantee you guys that are here in the chat with me today reading this for the first time, that is what they hinged the lawsuit on. You didn't have to take the location, because that's the first thing that I'm thinking. If I don't want the location, I'm not going to do it. But of course, a lot of people are like, well, they said they're going to help us. They said they're going to give us all the advertisement, and they said they're going to give us everything we need. You know how we can get. We can have somebody in our ear telling us, no, this don't sound right, man. I don't even go shop out there. I don't even live out there. You know what I'm saying, Coach Sherry? A lot of us are like, yeah, no, I don't think. We would have not taken that one. We would have said, no, I don't think that's going to be the one that I want. I think that I want another one in another area. But that's not what they did. They took it, and after they saw that it failed, okay. Now, listen, let me just say this. When you look at where you hire your employees, right? When you look at where you hire your employees, when you open up a business, where do those employees come from? They come from the community in which you have your business. So all they would have had to have done is to go around and see the success of those in the community. And it is unfortunate, because I know what those communities look like, right? So you have to look and see, well, we can't be profitable if these individuals have never really been given a lot of training or a lot of help. And I am saying that because I know that that's what's going on. That will make or break the business. But they wanted to lean on the fact that, see, now they want to be, and I hate to say this, but I told you guys just recently, I've been in a lot of spaces, and there's a lot of people that like to play the victim role. And then there's a lot of people that like to say, well, no, we don't have the victim role. And they're entrepreneurs and they got a lot of money. But in this case, these are entrepreneurs who probably said, no, we ain't playing the victim role. And then as soon as something happened, now they want to be victims. As one of my associates says, pick a struggle. Pick a struggle is what she says. Pick a struggle. Okay. So it goes on to say that the company stated that the franchisees have the freedom to choose to open a restaurant wherever they'd like. And the restaurant chain stated that they offer guidance and support for franchise owners who need help selecting a location. Okay. You can open it here. Listen, I'm going to tell you, we're going to be with you 100% of the way. Last September, McDonald's lost another lawsuit brought against them by others, by Byron Allen's Allen Media Group, the Weather Group, LLC. The plaintiffs in this case claim that McDonald's racially discriminated against them by refusing to create an advertising contract with the companies, which are Black-owned media companies. The lawsuit alleges that McDonald's, whose Black consumers represent 40% of annual sales, spend less than $5 million advertising on Black-owned media companies. The massive $10 billion lawsuit will go to trial in May, I should say, of 2023. McDonald's legal team had filed a motion to dismiss, but a judge in California denied the motion. In the lawsuit, McDonald's is accused of racial stereotyping, particularly through its advertising tiers. The plaintiffs claim that a separate African American tier with a smaller budget and unfavorable pricing exists, and that the CEO's salary of $11 million is more than twice what the restaurant chain spends on Black-owned media advertising. Now, McDonald's, which is considered the leader in global food sales, boasts over 39,000 locations worldwide. The well-known Golden Arches, bring in an annual of over $100 billion. That's with a B. And the company spends $1.6 billion a year on advertising, making the $5 million spent on Black-owned media seemed paltry. Oh my goodness. Can you believe that? Look at the dollar amount again. Can you believe $100 billion on those cardboard, non-decaying, non-breaking down burgers and French fries that can sit up under a petri dish or a glass jar for years without ever breaking down? It's no wonder why people are big and fat that eat there. Why? Because you're eating food that does not break down. So where does it go? Where does it go? Wow. Okay. Well, the lawsuit brought up by the 52 black franchisees began in 2020, and the judge dismissed the lawsuit in a written order. McDonald's may have the upper hand at the moment unless the plaintiffs file a successfully amended complaint later this month. According to Reuters, an unnamed spokesperson said that the plaintiffs had no facts to support their arguments, which helped dismiss the lawsuit against McDonald's. The restaurant chain argued that they have always strived to attract franchisees from diverse communities, and according to Black Enterprise, stated that discrimination has no place in McDonald's. When reached for comment, the plaintiff's lawyers did not answer any questions, as they should not. They shouldn't answer any questions at all. None. None. Don't answer any questions. I mean, from a legal standpoint, don't answer one question. Don't say anything that could be put on record. Don't say anything that could be later brought back up. Oh, in this article, you said X, Y, or Z. No, hold on. Hold on a minute. Let's see if they're going to take this a little bit further. What do you guys think about that? Let me look at some of your comments here. I'd love to see what your thoughts are. Let's see. Let's go back up here. So they're steering their franchise. Well, that's what they're doing. Yep. Okay. All right. Okay. Children of the Caligari. What is that? You will not win. Albert Pike, how are you tonight? Okay. Hey, Jeffrey Starr. All righty. Okay. Color is only skin deep. Has anyone ever seen a Caucasian Aboriginal person from Australia? All called subhuman, disgusting. What I've seen are the people in the bush there in Australia, and they are darker than I am. Those individuals who are Aborigine, they're darker than me. Joy, isn't that amazing? So I'm back, Marty says. Wait till they find out that the Ronald McDonald, Oregon. Oh boy. Okay, none of that in the chat because we need to keep it clean so we can stay up, right? Mike, you're too much. Wonder what real estate company McDonald's use because they should be in the suit too. You know what? They're probably using somebody who's an arm with them. You know what I mean? Single story builders will not be triumphant. Okay, reservations and containment camps. Boy, oh boy. So as a shopper, this concerns not only me, but everyone else that shops. Absolutely, Dave Roberts. That's a very good point. Very, very good point. Good point, Coach Sherry. And the pharmacy industry grows with it. Yes, ma'am. You're right on target. Hey, Anthony, welcome back. Okay. Okay, go home. We have all been deceived. Yeah, you're pretty right about that. Okay, they support their own. So I tell you what, you guys, I appreciate you all for hanging out with me. Let me come back on the screen since we got a chance to read some of those. Let me look up a little further to see how many I missed. I don't. Hey, Vape King, are you still here? Hello to you. Joy Trujillo, hello to you. Calling you out by name. Calling you out by name. Loving on you there, Marty Lauderdale. Great to see you. Again, Brian Brenner, thank you for loving on us and leaving your support. We appreciate that. Anybody else wants to give, you can give as little as $2. I think that's what the machine starts at. I think it also starts at $1. So if you guys want to start and give $1, I sure would appreciate it. Every dollar does count. So I appreciate that. Not shopped in Walmart. And over a year, I refused to go shop for 9 people only to ring up my bag of groceries. That's how I feel too. And have you noticed how they sort of stand around? They sort of stand around and wait for you to bag yourself, and they're all congregated there talking to one another, and you are sitting there trying to figure out how to make something go in. You can't find this fruit, vegetable in their thing, and there's a problem, right? So the question everybody should ask themselves is, do you want the future to look like a dystopian sci-fi show? You know what? Zara B, if you're still here, hello to you. Hello, hello, madam. It's good to see you. Dwayne Schmidt, long time no see. Number one job is to boycott Walmart. It's all cheap. Yeah. You remember, Bev, back then they used to be all made in America and everybody was so happy about that. Derek Williams says Sophia garnered human status. Don't understand that move. Well, I can tell you if you got about a few minutes. I can tell you. I can definitely tell you. You guys check out the video that I have here where I'm talking about I believe it's Millie J. How you doing? Where I believe we're talking about the racism. And racism, we flipped it a little bit to let you know what there were going to be racist about in the future, because the term racism only came around in the late 1800s and it was done with a specific purpose. But now, when you think about it, there's only one race. So, really, what was it brought for? What did they bring it about for? Is the question. So, we never know. We never know. But I will tell you one thing that I do know, that in a minute, because she has citizenship and because they dropped the story to let you think that they were sentient and you know who I'm talking about, in a minute, that's going to be the humans. That's going to be the humanoids. That's who they're going to tell you that you're racist against, because there's only one human race. Anything else that goes outside of that, especially that can think, that can swipe, that can scan, that's going to be who they say you are racist about. Daryl Long, hey. So now I'm coming back on screen with you. And I just want to say that the issue is that all of the technology that we're seeing right now, because what's going on is they've got us distracted about a lot of other stuff. They've got us distracted about so many things. And while we're being distracted, as I stated the other day, you've got, is it Boston Dynamics? They're slipping in the robot dogs that are going to be the policemen. Well, because they want to defund the police, watch them make sure that not only are you going to have your fries made by a robot, as we did a study, as we did a video about last year, where we showed all of these companies that had now opened one door, and that door had a robotic arm. One store had a robotic arm, and people would just turn around and go get their food, and the robot would shove it out the window. You guys that are followers of the channel should remember that, right? Well, now this is what they're going to do. They're going to replace you whether you like it or not. And that $15, $16, $17 an hour is going to make people feel as if they're rich for a moment until they automate your field. And the food service workers, as well as grocery store workers, unfortunately, are going to be the first cut, as they have already seen. And with losing all of these jobs at Walmart in Georgia, I can only imagine what's going to happen. Your rent is sky high. You're living paycheck to paycheck right now. And now, on top of that, the company says that they're diversifying at a time when most people go out for holiday, when most people do their shopping for holiday. You thought you were going to be okay. They had you beef up everything. I know how the business works when it comes to making sure that the warehouses are stacked and stuffed. You guys worked your tails off this past summer, making sure that everything was done, but you had no idea that on December 1st, you would possibly lose your job. This is going to happen throughout the United States. This is going to happen possibly even in the city or the state that you live in. And the question is, what's going to happen to all those workers? There's over 100,000 workers that they're going to let go of. Didn't we see that? It didn't say 1,500, did it? It said 1,500. 1,500 workers. That's over 1,000 workers. What are they going to do with 1,500 people that will now be unemployed? And there's nobody speaking about it. There's no one complaining. We don't see any of the people out there, the Raphael Warnocks of the world, saying a word about it. Speaking of which, did you see what we put up on Headlines with a Voice dealing with Raphael Warnock? Well, the other day we just got through talking about Herschel Walker with his son, and they're blasting him now because of this woman that came out and said whatever she said. But listen, we already know that this is kabuki theater. This is all theater, right? Every single inch of it is theater to make sure that people are focused on something else while something else slips under the door. Now, what happened is he has now superseded, allegedly, he's passed up Walker by about 4 points, right? And they are using a margin of error of give or take 3 on either side, 3 points on either side. There's a margin of error, about 3. But here's what I think. Because they did the survey between the 4th and the 7th, almost immediately after the story came out about him, having this woman out there that he allegedly paid to delete the child, even though he said he knew nothing of it, right? They just did a test pilot. They dropped out a little bit of this story that they've already fabricated, because we know how this works, right? A month before, how convenient. And what they're going to do is the big part of the information that they're withholding from the public, they're going to drop it like a sandbag floating down the river, baby. You best believe that at the top of November or the end of October, they're going to drop another sandbag on this guy. They're going to drop another sandbag on him. And when they do that, I guarantee you, everybody is going to run away from voting for him because a lot of people believe what the media tells them. Whether or not you vote for him or not is no skin off of anybody's nose. But what I can tell you for sure is that this is the modus operandi, and you cannot separate the two. If you know who you're dealing with and you know their mode of operation, then you know, like I know, that they're just testing the water over this past week because according to the story that we just did, as a matter of fact, I may just pull it up for you so that you guys get the opportunity to see it. But what they ended up doing was they said, okay, well, hey, we're just going to test this out. We're going to test it out. We're going to test it out and see if we can drop a story and see how many points he drops. We're going to see. I wonder what would happen if. Well, we see what happened if in just a couple of days he plummeted just that fast, just that easy. So let's go on ahead and see here. Let's go ahead right here. We're going to look at the story that we just dropped today. Warnock, okay? I'm gonna pause it for you all. All right, for those of you who didn't get an opportunity to see it, I'm gonna let you see it right now. Okay, we're gonna give it the volume as well. All the clickety click, de clickety click, de click, de click that you can hear. All right, here you go. Lockhart Perspective. Senator Raphael Warnock is pulling ahead of his Republican rival, Herschel Walker, in the Senate race in Georgia, albeit narrowly, according to an Emerson College polling, the survey released on Tuesday. The poll shows that Warnock garnered 48% support to Walker's 46%, and that marks a 4-point improvement for the Democratic incumbent since August, when the same poll showed him trailing Walker 44% to 46%. The poll was conducted from October 4th to 7th, just after a report from the Daily Beast surfaced allegations that Walker had paid his then girlfriend to have an abortion in 2009. Walker, who has campaigned as an ardently anti abortion conservative, has denied the allegations and has threatened to sue the Daily Beast for defamation. It's unclear how much or even if the allegations against Walker has hurt his standing in the race. The poll didn't ask respondents whether they had heard the accusations or if they had an opinion on the matter. What is clear, however, is that Warnock's support among women is on the rise. 51% of the women who responded to the poll said that they are backing Warnock, compared to 42% who are supporting Walker. That marks a 4-point increase in support for Warnock since August. Walker, meanwhile, has seen his advantage among men shrink slightly. In August, he held an 8-point edge over Warnock among men. The most recent poll shows that advantage ticking down to 5 percentage points. Regardless, neither Walker or Warnock are winning the majority support in the race. Under Georgia's election rules, a candidate must get more than 50% of the vote to win the contest outright. If neither manages to hit that threshold, they'll advance to a December runoff election. Despite the allegations against Walker and Democrats' efforts to make abortion rights the central issue of the 2022 midterm elections, a plurality of Georgia voters, 40%, said that the economy is the most important factor in how they will cast their ballots in November. Another 19% listed threats to the democracy as their top issue, while only 12% of respondents said abortion access was their most pressing concern. Still, reproductive rights appear to remain a motivating factor for Georgians. A majority of voters, 52%, said that the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, the landmark abortion rights case, makes them more likely to vote in November. Another 45% said it makes no difference in their decision to vote. Meanwhile, in the race for the Georgia governor, Governor Brian Kemp is holding a 5-point lead over Democratic Stacey Abrams, scoring 51% support to her 46%. On the national level, President Biden's approval rating, remains underwater, with about 41% of the Georgia voters giving him positive marks for his job performance. and 52% disapproving of his performance in the White House, according to the poll. The Emerson College, the Hill poll surveyed 1,000 likely general voters in Georgia from October 4th through 7th, and it has a margin of error of plus or minus 3 percentage points. For headlines with a voice, this has been the Lockhart News Brief. You guys couldn't hear me. It wouldn't be me when if you could hear me immediately, right? So, but here's the thing. Now, it's all strategic. Every single inch of it is strategic. There is no way that you can tell me that it was not. Just as Coach Sherry says right here on the screen, it's all strategic. Who would run a poll right now? Well, what they were doing was they were doing a litmus test. They were doing a litmus test to say, hey, guess what? It worked. Now, fill the bag full of sand for the next hurricane we're about to throw on this brother. Take the bag and just fill them all up with sand. Fill them up with sand because we're going to give him a doozy. Now, while we were listening to that, I want to show you guys what is going on quietly. It says it's quiet, but it's happening. The big ways robots are quietly taking over fast food. Now, this story was done at the top of the year, and this was part of the story that we talked about before. Now, let me give it to this reader, which means we're going to lose it for a second. I'm going to have to come back and bring it up because it always happens whenever we do that. All right, so let's see. Here we are there. Now, let's get this. Now, big ways robots are quietly taking over fast food. Well, why don't they just let the robots go out and pick the real food? Just let them pick the real food. How about that? Okay? And look at the places that are doing it. Taco Bell, KFC, and Domino's are turning to robots. Test, test. It's always test. And look where they're testing. Listen, tests conducted in Chicago are the only one instance in the last few years of the technological arms race conducted by fast food brands. So now let's look at this. And I always have to take it to the human piece. I always have to. It's just impossible for me not to. When you take things like this into small communities or bad communities or communities that are already overrun with crime, that have already, dilapidated housing, all I'm thinking about is the people who don't have an opportunity to work there anymore. Now, it says October 2020, My Smart Choice revealed an agreement between KFC and Hyundai Robotics to develop chicken cooking robots. Just let that sit right there. Chicago, chicken cooking robots. The point the piece made was that in addition to the aforementioned reasons for fast food companies to self-automate, the appeal for robotics companies like Hyundai is that the delicacies of food preparation would prove a great test for their designs. Following a recipe doesn't differ from following an algorithm. So, the real difficulty these companies are seeking to overcome is the dexterity of the mechanical parts involved. If successful, robot cooks would prove to be valuable. Well, I'm going to be up to fries next month. They done told me if I just come on in and do my job every day, that I'm going to be the fry cook. Hey, and then I'm going to own my own franchise. Well, don't you know? I'm going to be the woman or man in charge or whatever the person is that's talking. If successful, the robot cooks would prove to be valuable. They can work longer hours and they don't require sick days. And we're going to make y'all sick again. So in April, innovation spread from the kitchen to include how one orders and receives their meals. Taco Bell debuted a new cantina in Times Square, which, as it describes to Mashed in a press release, offers both in-store ordering from touchscreens and chubby holes for takeout orders, further streamlining the pedestrian focused cantinas with Taco Bell's general drive through ambitions. Domino's, however, continued to stay true to its tech company that sells pizza image by investing in autonomous pizza delivery cars. They're autonomous police delivery cars. In the press release shared by the Associated Press, the delivery robots made by the tech company Neuro. I want to look them up. Neuro. What a name. Had their debut in Houston, though plans for further expansion have not been announced. With all three of these shakeups, the biggest breakthrough is how each chain is replacing bodies with bolts. Bodies with bolts. How will tech based innovation affect fast food workers? Well, the conversation surrounding these technologies strikes the expected optimism of someone saying facts that will not directly affect them. Taking orders is thankless. Rob Carpenter, the founder of the conversion, what is this conversational platform? Excuse me, platform design company Valent AI stated today it's one of the least desired jobs of fast food employees. While customer facing work in the service industry will be challenging, it's tough to say how this will impact the workforce. He knows how it's going to affect the workforce. If laymen's like you and I already see how it's going to affect the workforce, don't you know that they, being AI driven and being computation driven, that they've already got the data that shows how it's going to affect them? We all know. The problem is, and I guarantee you, the problem is they do not want to tell you because they don't want to make you concerned, because they know that the numbers are startling, absolutely startling. The general hope, as Jamie Richardson, the VP of White Castle, told CNN, is that automating these less desirable jobs. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Let me come back over here. Is it me? Hey, Corn Pop's Revenge. Is it me? Or do you guys remember them saying that these jobs and these people just needed the $15 an hour? But now they're calling them the less desirable jobs. But they were hailing them as going down to the McDonald's because they're going to teach you and they're going to allow you to go to McDonald's University and they're going to allow you and they're going to pay for your education. Do you guys remember just 2 years ago, 2.5, almost 3 years ago? That was the big push. Go work for McDonald's, because what they're going to do is they're going to send you to school and you're going to be able to pay for school because they're going to pay for you to do it. Yeah. Well, anyway, they go on to say that these are going to be the less desirable jobs, right? Where are we here? Yeah, the less desirable jobs for a different focus in Richardson's vision. However, that focus is greater attention on customer service and hospitality. Now, while Carpenter is talking about how automated drive ups, the same technology could be applied to in-house order taking. They're going to get rid of everybody. Just go ahead and say it. You already know it. People that used to work in these stores are going to be standing outside shivering, hoping that somebody is going to throw them a burger or two. How companies will deal with implementing this radical change to labor will vary, of course. The Boss magazine brings up Shake Shack as an example. They have in house kiosks and online ordering, but also provide hospitality champs to help customers through the novel process, because it's a new process. So they're going to teach everybody how to do it now. And the people that they've got helping them or whatever, those people are going to be phased out. Okay, so other roles outlined by the piece are various supporting functions for the machine, such as refueling and repairing. Note, however, that a lot of the real labor would still end up being done by humans. Lies, 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 yeah. Lies, 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 yeah, you're lying. Those jobs are going to be phased out. There's going to be smaller buildings too, watch. But just not in the view of the customer, see? However, this is note that, however, that a lot of the real labor would still end up being done by humans, but just not in the view of the customers. That said, with the recent labor shortage in fast food as covered by Prospect, perhaps these brands have no choice but automation. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you about the jobs that they say people are not applying for. People aren't getting called back. for those jobs. That's what's going on. People are not getting called back for the jobs in fast food. Did you guys know that? So every single time you go to one of these places, hey David, hey the Truth Factor, Dre Blaines, or is it Bones? Hey Dre, that's all I'm gonna say. Okay. Let me tell you what happens. Whenever you go to one of those places, what you're finding now is that there is nobody to work them. I mean, literally, there pulled over to get a beverage one day over here at the local Burger King. And as I pulled through in the middle of the day, the little bitty place has no people in it at all, but you can smell the smokestack. So I looked down at the clock and I said, okay, so it's like 3:20, which means that person probably worked until 3 o'clock and nobody came and they left. And so the deal is, from what I understand, is a lot of people are applying, but they're not filling up the applicants' positions. They're not filling up the open positions. So there is some unspoken stuff. Make it as bad as you can. Make the customers see the value. Hello, Aurora. Make the customers see the value. Make them see the value in having these robots hit them upside the head. Now watch and see how many of these robots slam their arms outside the door and hit somebody in the head outside the car. I'm telling you, hey, listen, the Da Vinci robots were making all kind of problems. People having their hysterectomies, men going in having men and women having back surgeries, and then the doggone robot arm just slices them in half. These things have been noted. These things have been noted. We've seen these things. We've seen people say, well, if you've had a problem with a robot arm or this happening or this being put in your body, just call somebody so that they can give you some help. Right? Yeah, that's what's going to happen. What's going to happen is this is going to be a hot mess. Well, because you're always going to have some casualties whenever you're trying to switch over from one thing to the next, right? I'm quite sure that they had some casualties while they were going from the Model T to a faster type car or going from the horse and buggy to the Model T. I'm sure there was some casualties. I'm sure there were. The unfortunate part is these casualties are coming on the ends and the tails of Americans and people across the world, because this is a world issue, not being able to take care of their families because of one created catastrophe or another. And so now people felt like they were back on their heels or back getting off their heels, getting onto that wheel and rolling again there in Georgia. People in Chicago and the other places that we see that automation, as well as Houston, Texas, has been implemented and used and tried and true. Those individuals who are driving the trucks in the trucking systems, the trucking arena, who now have found out that they literally ran a truck for close to 10 million miles automated by automation without a person in it. And this was quiet because remember, the story that we covered showed a person in the vehicle that could stop it or start it. Well, they got up to 10 million miles now that they secretly did and that they just released in May. They released the findings in May. They released and said, this is what happens. We put these trucks out here and they did a humdinger job. Where are all of these people going to go with the exorbitant amounts of rent that they're now asked to pay? People who lived in an apartment for $600, $150 for the past 3 years just got their leases renewed at the tune of close to 12 or 1300 for the same exact place with the same leaky faucet that they've always had. The same ability to put their car in a stall and hope for the best at night when they get off work because they don't have a garage. And if they don't get there soon enough, somebody else can take their spot. Nothing has changed. No one has given any upgrades on anything. No, no, sir, no, ma'am. You still are going to have the same issues you had, always had. Okay? You've always had. So there's nothing that has been given as an upgrade. Nothing has changed except for the fact that people in droves are losing their jobs to either automation or just people closing their businesses altogether. Listen, I want to thank each and every one of you all for hanging out with us tonight. I'm so glad to see you all. Very good. And I want to thank the people who took the time to donate tonight. That means a lot because that's the way that we keep things going. That's the way that I don't have to do so many outside things to keep this ball rolling. So what I do is I'll spend some things out there in the world where I can work. Okay, because I don't have it up here. I'll just spin it out there. Then I'll come back over here. But you don't see me that much because I'm out there doing something else. But those of you who give, you keep me here. Poppy, love, how are you? Good to see you. Lorraine, good to see you. Studio Mansion, good to see you. Okay. I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Art of Healing, thank you. I can't say that. Is that Realms? Y'all know me with pronouncing certain words. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here. Now listen, you know what we always say on any Felicia Lockhart Group publications, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High. You guys take care of yourselves first. Then I want you to remember to turn around and take care of somebody else. That's the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you take care of number one first. And then until you and I see one another, please continue to be blessed. You take care.
Lockhart Perspective.
To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Lockhart Perspective. Helping